CMPRadio.net. It's the station.
And it's another beautiful day in PA. Hello and welcome aboard the D-Train with Darren DeVoue on CMPRadio.net. It's the station as well as the voice of Chester. Hello and good afternoon. Thank you for, running a little bit late, but almost the afternoon. Thanks for joining us, folks, here on the D-Train with Darren DeVoue. Today we're going to recap Chester's victory over Cheltenham. We're going to talk some local news, including Chester Upland School District getting a new superintendent. A little bit of Delco history as well as national history and some strange stories, and we're going to finish off with some fake animals that may be running around out here. But for right now, let's get to the Clippers, who Thursday were at Cheltenham, and they got a 22-20 victory over the Panthers of Cheltenham. Now, it was a little bit of rough going. First half, 2 turnovers. One of them came Jayden Holmes, younger brother of former Clipper Malachi Holmes, who's now at Widener. Holmes was trying to field Clippers were in the goal line, in the red zone of Cheltenham. Holmes got a bad snap. And instead of falling on it, he tried to pick it up to make something happen, and came a flurry of Panthers, and that was one of Chester's 2 first-half turnovers right there. Speaking of bad snaps, well, we'll get to that later with the bad snaps. But in the meantime, Chester committed 6 first-quarter penalties, which hurt them. Now, last week against Perkiomen Valley, as I was watching the game, Chester tried to employ a lot of misdirection with their running plays, and Perkiomen Valley just swallowed that up each time. So, and I would kept clamoring, you got to run straight forward, put a hat on the hat, push your man back. And that's precisely, they must have heard me. Head coach Dennis Shaw must be watching the show right now. Thanks, Coach. But the Clippers then employed that strategy with junior running back Nyree Melvin out. Junior running back Deshaun Jackson took the carries there. Bennett had over 100 yards in the first half, finished with well over 200 yards and then 2 touchdowns. And the Clippers went up by 10 late in the third before Cheltenham chipped away, got the final score there. We recorded it here at CMPRadio.net, the voice of Chester, but we probably will keep that recording. Darren Harris. Sophomore sensation, Darren Harris. Poor Darren. 2 touchdowns called back. 1 on a punt return and 1 on an interception. But back to Jackson. There was a lot of times those penalties, got to clean it up. It was a dirty victory, if you will, because there was first few chunk carries that Jackson had. They got called back on account of penalties. And speaking of Harris, the punt return called back on a illegal block, and the interception return was called back because of a roughing the passer penalty. But at the same time, the pass was well in the air. In fact, I'm sure that Harris already had the ball in his hands, and then the flag went up in the air. There were some exit 6 faithful that were behind me that had the same point. Like, why is it? That's a late call, if anything. But, oh well. The D did well because it was 0-0 going into the half, and Chester scored their first 10 points in the third quarter. So the D did well holding up because there was a kid for Cheltenham, number 3, McLeod. One word to sum this kid up. Fast. Quick like lightning. But the D did well bottling him up. Then that takes us on to the snaps, which we mentioned a minute ago. The snaps were uneven. Some of them were over the head, some of them were low, short hoppers, which Jalen Harris had to make happen from there. And you knew that going in, though. Freshman center Dodson for Chester. He was going to have his ups and downs and his learning curves. And that brings us to overall, the team overall. Because with so many starters having to be replaced from last season's defense, I thought the defense held up well. Because you're talking about the Thompson twins, mentioned Malachi Holmes, Larry Gates. I mean, those aren't just starters. You're talking solid starters. So they did well. I thought the D did well as far as holding up, especially still learning to gel as a defense and replacing those big names that I just mentioned a moment ago. So that moves us on to second-year head coach Dennis Shaw, first year head coach Dennis Shaw, because I think history's proven in a coach's second year is what you really find out what his mettle is made of as far as building a team. And you're going to find that out with the Clippers this season, next season, I think. I think next season is going to be a big year. Chester's going to take the lumps this year, but I think overall, when it comes down to it, this is because let's talk about Harris for a moment. Harris had the ups of the record-setting season last year with over 30 touchdowns, well over 3,000 yards. But now there's what do they call that? What's that phrase? Regression to the mean. And not saying that the young man is going to regress as a passer, but I'm saying that with that, there's going to be, the ups and downs, the market correction. So you got to take that with a grain of salt, and not be too quick to criticize the young fella as they're still learning their offense. Because you can't, again, replacing those big names. I did mention Samir Brown, who was huge for the Clippers last year. Another record setter as far as a receiver. So next week, you got Chester at home against Phoenixville. Game will be on cmpradio.net, the station, as well as the Voice of Chester. And, son of a biscuit here. And you can catch that. That's Saturday at 11 at Jet Field here in the city. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to seeing you there. And if you can't make it to the game or you have to work or whatever, you can just go on to cmpradio.net's YouTube or Facebook page and tune into the game from there. For a second here, let's talk a quick sponsor. Don't forget the Chester Boys and Girls Club. Even though summer is over, school year is beginning, don't forget they have activities for after school and what have you, keep your little youngins active and busy and socialize. So go to Boys Girls Club Chester.org and check out their activities and how to sign up or how to contribute. And so, with that, let's talk a little. No. All right, so pudgy point guard here, aka James Harden, he was in the news this week over the past couple of weeks over this, when he had this to say while all the way in China.
Is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that pays for it. We said again, Darren Moore is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that is a part of the show.
Whoa. First off, why y'all encouraging that with the woos and whatnot? I mean, come on. And did anybody hear me in the back? Daryl Morey is a liar, and I'm never going to play for an organization that he runs again. You promise? All right, we got that. That's proof right here. He said it. Oh, my goodness. Man, please. The only good thing about that cat coming here was that Ben Simmons had to go. That's the only thing that was good about him bringing his over-dribbling game and that face mammal that he calls a beard. That was the only two things good about Harden coming in. Sixers messed up because they could have had a title by now. All right. Jimmy Buckets. You see what Jimmy Buckets is doing in Miami with spare parts around. If the Sixers would have just admitted that mistake to themselves when Kawhi Leonard's jumper went And the Sixers would have just looked and said, Butler or Simmons. Anyway, they'd already had the title. Your boy Joel Embiid, yes, phenomenal talent, but this and this kind of shaky. He needs a guy that's behind him, pushing him forward. And you best believe Butler is that kind of dude. And so the Sixers would have had the title already. Instead, they got Fat Boy Slim here. I mean, look at this guy's physique. I mean, come on. If you walk into a rec league and you see a guy shaped like this, you don't think nothing of it. Now, looking at an NBA professional athlete, you're looking at that like, what the? Oh, Harden's birthday was the other day, last week too. So shout out to the hardworking entertainer ladies, because we know a stripper made rent that day. For show, she made rent. Shout out to Harden for at least stimulating the economy there. But anyway, yeah, he's got to go. Peace out. And back to the Sixers, that monstrosity that owner is talking about building in Chinatown. The owner who's now owns the New Jersey Devils, Philadelphia Sixers, and the Washington Commanders. Spread too far out, too many fingers and too many pies, and it's the writings on the wall. This guy's just trying to make a buck. So, therefore, you're only going to see enough moves made with the Sixers just to keep you coming and keep getting that money, for him to keep getting that money and also move that merch. Because otherwise, just enjoy it for what it is, folks. Because there ain't no title coming in. Sorry. So with that said, let's move on to, speaking of NBA news, you folks in Chester, you people, what do you mean you people? You people know this guy, right? This is Chester native Rondé Hollis Jefferson. And what Hollis Jefferson has been up to lately is he has been thrilling the folks at the FIBA World Cup for basketball. So Hollis Jefferson was putting on a performance recently, and he's, as you can see, from number 24, he's a big old Kobe Bryant fan. And so the former NBA player was reminding the local crowd of Bryant, and they were actually chanting, Kobe, Kobe, Kobe. Hold on, let's see if we got some audio for this. I said, let's see if we got some audio for this. I said, wait, hold on, one more try. All right, hold on, wait. He gave Kobe his tribute by becoming a volume shooter. There's one part in the highlights. He's got two defenders on him by the 3-point line. Steps through them and fires up a three that goes in. Oh, I know somewhere Brian was smiling there. That's what he would appreciate. But yeah, Jefferson is doing his thing there. He's also he's a naturalized Jordan citizen now. So he's been out of the league for about 2 years. So with that, speaking of Kobe Bryant, remember we talked before about John Morant and the things that he's been up to this year with respect to what he's got into that brawl at a shoe store with his mom. The gun incidents at the strip clubs, and the NBA and the professional athletes. Got in the strip club incident, the subsequent video where he still had another gun on him. And then there's this. which relates to Kobe Bryant. Morant recently went and got a new tattoo all across his back and was a tribute to Kobe Bryant. Look at that thing. Between all the aforementioned incidents and this tattoo, in about 10 years, I'm predicting that Morant's going to look back on 2023 and say, that was the year of bad decisions right there. We've all got one. I ain't judging, but he just keeps the hits coming.
Excuse me, Buster. Something wrong with his head. Just can't get right, bro. Can't get right.
There you go. That's your boy. Oh, so with that, one last thing on sports before we finish up with sports. So, did anybody watches college football? You've been hearing about Deion Sanders. P and I have talked about it on the show, and we've had two different opinions because we talked about how Sanders was, the big. I'm bringing my new luggage to his about to be former players, telling them you might as well enter the transfer portal. So, and we talked about that last week on the show with Chris Edwards and Dave Berman in some audio that I boxed up. I apologize. That was a great show too. I'm so sorry, fellas. I'm going to get you back on here. We're going to get it right. Word of honor. My word of honor there we go. Have a word of honor. There we go. I promise. But anyway, Sanders. So Sanders in the transfer portal. He used that transfer portal to pretty much assemble his team. I'm looking at this matchup. TCU is 20-point favorites over Colorado. Sanders' first game. TCU was in the national title last year. But then I'm sitting there, and just as I'm about to press bet on the app, and I look and I'm thinking to myself, but there's no tape on Colorado. TCU, they went to the national finals, so they're kind of ho-humish right now. And you know that Deion Sanders is going to have these boys frothing at the mouth for Colorado. So, what happened was, Sanders' son, Shador, he goes out and throws for over 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And Sanders, who I've commented on before, I mean, he's a former Cowboy too. I found him a little bit much before that. You can talk about how he left the swag at Jackson State, but you got to remember, anything that this man does is about him. So even having his kid be successful in that first game there in Colorado, in Fort Worth, his game was at TCU. He sat there in the post game and he said, "I'm proud to have a Heisman candidate as my quarterback, and he's also my son." It always is going to relate back to Deion. Here's Deion in the post game presser, giving it to a reporter. No, do you believe that? Hold on. Do you believe that? Huh? Who said I didn't believe that? No. I read through that bullshit you wrote down. I read through that. I said, what did I write? Do you believe? In what? You don't believe. I believe. You didn't answer. You don't believe. Next question. See, and no, Deion. In that man's defense, that's such a vague question. Do you believe? Like you said, in what? Because that can mean anything. Come on now. We're not doing that. Yeah, we're not gonna fall for a banana in the tail. Exactly. Come on. Oh snap. Kill that. There we go. But we're gonna see what happens. The long game, and you know what? Watching the coverage though. Oh my goodness. How sickening. They're pretty much anointing. Oh my goodness. Deion Sanders is putting together a heck of a team right there. Look, it's one game, people. Pump some brakes, please, if you don't mind. So, with that moves us on to Oh, this is kind of local. This lady here, this is Susan Knowles. And Susan Knowles is a Aston native. Miss Knowles is also among 22 women who are going to be on ABC's The Golden Bachelor. And they'll be vying for the love of Jerry Turner. Miss Knowles is a 66-year-old. Oh, I'm sorry, the Golden Bachelor. So this is for folks who are about to get that AARP card and they're still trying to find love. I find this interesting by ABC though to try and do the Golden Bachelor because I guess they had to stop it with the young girls because obviously these girls are, I'm just here to find true love and lose my profile. But like, come on. So yeah. So Miss Knowles is going to be the golden. She's going to be one of two people, and it's an offshoot of the Bachelorette. She's going to be 66-year-old. She's bringing that double flair to the show. So there you go. When's it premiere? Sometime this month. I don't have a date. September 28th. There we go. That's it, if you're into that kind of thing. Oh, so that moves us on to, Chester superintendent. Chester's got a new superintendent. No, not him. No, he gone. That's the old superintendent, and that's the departed Dr. Parkinson, Dr. Craig Parkinson. He got let go of, well, they parted ways at a special meeting. He held the post for 2 years, and effective on Friday, the agreement was reached. It was following a collaborative process, taking into consideration the best interests of all parties, and that's according to the school district. What happened was, of course, this was the handiwork of special receiver Nafis Nichols. Boy, I tell you what, if you worked in this town for the past 5 years in some sort of civic process or etc., and you see Nichols walk in the door, you got, oh man, I am so busy. I'm doing so much, filing so much. You got to look like you are so important in order to keep your job. That's it around right there. Don't come in there. Don't let Nafis walk in the door and see you do this. Because that's it. Oh, what's your name? Okay. Good. Talk to you later. And by talk to you, I mean, so yeah. The new superintendent is going to be Latrice Mooney. And said Mooney, we've done a lot, but we have a lot more to accomplish. Said Nichols, leadership and consistency remain. In the last 2 years, Parkinson has guided our district through tough challenges and created a vision of future success that I know we can build upon. We fully intend to stay the course, remaining committed to finalizing plans that he tirelessly worked on. We thank Dr. Parkinson for his dedication and hard work. These kind of statements always crack me up when they're letting go of a guy. You know, like, well, yeah, he worked so tirelessly, which is why I'm getting rid of his ass. Yeah, like we need some kind of translator for that kind of office jargon, kind of professional jargon, if you will, that comes here and there when you have matters like this at hand. So, with that, some more Chester local news here in the city. This here is the Chester East new director of education. And I have closed the file on her, but let's see if I can get this real quick. Let's see if I can get that back up. Chester East. No. Oh, watch this. Oh, let's use technology in my man. Watch this. Chester East, new director of education. Who's bad? Chester East Side, they gave a new director of education. Her name is Whitney Wright. And girl, you can make me submit a lesson plan anytime. Well, I'm just saying. I wasn't trying to be inappropriate. I'm just saying. I'd be that a go-getter if I worked for Miss Wright. But she'll be taking over as the new director of education at Chester Eastside, and she will oversee functions and all needs of academic programs. So good luck to Miss Wright in her new post. And with that, we're going to move on to a little bit of Delco history. Delco history and Black folks. We're going to combine the two, and we're going to talk real quick about these folks here. This here is Mr. and Mrs. Horace Brown. And the Browns, many, many moons ago, in 1963, they decided that they were going to move, or excuse me, I said Brown, I meant Baker, Mr. and Mrs. Horace Baker. So the Bakers they decided to move from the city, and they were going to move to Fallcroft, 2000 Heather Road, to be specific. So Saturday, August 19th, this past Saturday, August 19th, they had a historical marker dedicated at the site. Because in August of 1963, 60 years ago, they decided on a Thursday the Bakers were scheduled to move into Delmar Village. So they were scheduled to move into Delmar Village, and sure enough, they just wanted a safe and comfortable neighborhood to raise their family. They had a 2-year-old daughter. They were both 26. They had good jobs. Horace was a laboratory technician. Sarah was a nurse at the Pennsylvania hospital. And then when the Bakers moved in, sure enough, there was plenty of this. Oh yeah. Heaven forbid. And look at this, young ones out there. Like, look at all that rage in their face. This was some black neighbors. Don't y'all have some stickball to go play or something? Like, it's beyond me. It's beyond me. But anyway, there was a mob. By nightfall, a mob showed up, and they pushed a riot. They started a riot. They swung nightsticks, threw tomatoes and rocks at the Bakers' homes. The Bakers left their daughter at a relative's house and spent the first night in the house, huddled in the cellar. The riot was put down, but of course the harassment never stopped. So, of course, 3 years later, the Bakers packed up and skidooed out of there. But, oh my goodness. Just, again, looking at these kids, like, oh my goodness. I just can't understand it.
I got a question. How are you?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, the ceremony took place at the address of 2000, that block of Heather Road near Taylor Drive in Delmar Village. So, that took place on August 19th. So, pretty cool. I mean, not cool that Fallcroft took the step. Because putting this marker up, you're recognizing the event, and you're also recognizing what was wrong with the event. You know what I'm saying? So with that, a little bit of history, another bit of history. This day in history. So what do you say took place on this day, September 3rd? I'll go to September 3rd, 1783. September 3rd, 1783. And the Treaty of Paris was signed. And the Treaty of Paris effectively ended the American Revolution and recognized the United States as an independent nation. So, now you know. If you didn't know already. You know what's funny? You ever watch the immigrants? I'm a big fan of the immigrants. I get along great with the immigrants. No, but seriously, you ever watch people who are doing their citizenship test? I find that people that are trying to move into this country know way more about the country than the folks that already live here. I bet you if I'd have said that to a 12-year-old Indian kid, he'd be like, Treaty of Paris, 1783, signed at blah, blah, blah. You know what was signed by? Yeah, it's funny how it works like that. Oh, so with that, oh man. we gotta go to a messed up. Let's do some strange stories here. Some strange stories. So let's go to Lafayette, Indiana. And if you didn't hear about this, this took place recently. Sad story, but this here is Deontay Jermaine Johnson, 27-year-old, and it's Shatia Tierra Welch, 24-year-old. And they're both Lafayette. And last month, they were tried in an unsealed, indictment was unsealed. And yeah, so in March of this year, a shooting occurred. Isaiah Johnson, their youngest son, was shot by their 5-year-old son in the head. What the fuck? Like, come on, man. So it gets better. It gets better. So the 5-year-old and the 2-year-old, get this, both tested positive for marijuana and cocaine. And again, I say, what the, like, come on. Talk about bad parenting. This is the kind of story that makes me go, like, see why I don't have kids? Because, I mean, you see how often I mess up this show? Like, I would damn sure mess up this kid's life. So I don't want that kind of responsibility. But I tell you this much, that kid wouldn't get my weed. But so what's happening with the Johnsons here is that they're facing charges of obstruction of justice, for removing the marijuana from the apartment before police arrived after the shooting. Yeah, like they wouldn't know. Also, after the shooting, police found 93 fentanyl pills, marijuana, and paraphernalia inside the apartment. So Deontay was asleep in the apartment at the time of the shooting, and the other one, Shatia, was not present. Oh man, I tell you, you gotta wonder about a fellow like that.
So I don't know what organ or bone people have that make them act right, but I'm for that. I'm so good.
Amen. So they are facing charges. Wait, they did not list attorneys for Johnson and Welch, but of course they're facing charges of child neglect, child endangerment, etc.
Well, he's going to jail. He belongs in jail. That's your ass is going to jail.
You know. So with that, we're gonna let's move on to this next story. Speaking of people that are going to jail, so check this out. We've all had bad neighbors, right? I know I had a neighbor for a while there. He lived upstairs, and I could tell by the little fella that was on the spectrum, even before I laid eyes on him, and he pretty much tipped it off that he was on the spectrum because all day long, the foot driving me insane. What did I do? Turn up some music, go for a walk, have a cigarette, go to the library. All kinds of things that were available to me. I tried to specialize in solution because, it's a child. A child that's on the spectrum. What are you going to do? A kid's going to be a kid. Well, that brings us to this fella. And this here is, what is this schmuck's name? He's a Tampa Bay resident, and he was the upstairs neighbor of a gentleman by the name of Umar Abdullah, 36-year-old. And so Juming Lee is this fella that's pictured here. Now, what had happened was Abdullah was receiving complaints from management that Lee was complaining, oh, wait, actually, what am I doing here? I'm going to let the news tell you. I'm going to leave it to the professionals here.
Footage recorded by a family in Tampa, Florida. It's a man with a syringe squirting something under the door of his upstairs neighbor's condo. What he was squirting was poisonous, and it made the family inside that condo very sick. Here's the story. He lived downstairs. He had a history of making noise complaints against the young family upstairs for things like vacuuming and footsteps and even opening and closing dresser drawers and toilet lids. Strangely, he didn't complain much about the sound of the newborn baby crying. That didn't seem to bother him. At least he didn't complain about it. But when that family, including the newborn, started smelling the chemicals and getting sick, they installed this hidden camera outside, and looky what they recorded, multiple attacks. This is a chemistry PhD student. And after the video surfaced, he was arrested. He now faces charges, they are felonies, by the way, of
nausea, etc. And so, yeah, so he set up the camera. Then he saw what was happening, got that stuff tested, and it's a combination of methadone and hydrocodone that the liquid tested for. So Lee he was arrested in late June. So 3 counts, 1 for each person in the household, 3 counts of battery, and then possession of a controlled substance, battery on a law enforcement officer, and aggravated stalking. So I don't know what the law enforcement, how that fits in there, but Pete could explain that better. He knows that better than I do.
Well, he's going to jail. He belongs in jail. But your ass is going to jail. The only question is he going to die in jail?
All those things that were available to him. He could have said, you know what? I'm going to break this lease. He could have said, you know what? I still got all this time. I'm going to just take the hit and sublet this apartment for cheap and just take the hit so I can get out of here. Nah. I'm going to slowly poison this family. Oh, dude. Speaking of people who didn't operate in good solutions. So we was making jokes before about Aqib Talib's mom and how Aqib Talib, former NFL player and now NFL analyst, who's not bad actually on the TV, Aqib Talib, and joked about that with his mom. We talked about mothers that assist in crimes like that guy's mom that helped him. He shot that guy in Springfield, or Marble Newtown, like a road rage, and mom acted as the getaway driver. But this here is, oh shoot, hold on a second, I lost that page too, but give me a second, because I'm going to use technology to my advantage. Because mom stabs guy with cane. Try again. I said we're going to try again. Mom stabs guy with cane. Son of a... One more time. Mom stabs guy with cane. Stabs guy with what? Anyway, her name is, she's 70-year-old Dee Stefana. Her son had gotten into an argument, and this was up in Norristown, so she's not too far away from us here in PA. And what she did was, her son was getting in an argument with somebody, and she had a 8-inch cane. Actually, it might have been longer than that. She had a 10-inch cane. Let's try this story one more time, because I can't. Mom stabs guy with cane. Anyway, yeah, so she had a knife hidden in her cane. Pulls out the blade, stabs my man with it. This took place in June, so now she's facing charges of aggravated assault. Should be attempted murder, for real. But damn, you know what? I wish my mom stood by me like that. My mom don't have my back. If I'd have got my ass whipped by somebody, she'd have had jokes if anything else. Oh, but you know what? Enough of that with the sick stories here. Let's go to something fun here. Let's talk about some fake animals. Now, check this out. This is supposed to be a Malaysian sun bear And this is at the Hangzhou Zoo in eastern Zhejiang province of China. And so, again, this is supposed to be a Malaysian sun bear. Since this Malaysian sun bear, quote unquote, has been there, they are now averaging over 14,000 visitors a day to the zoo. But this is obviously a person, right? I mean, can you look at the backside? You can see the pants sag right there. Not to mention the physique of it all. Oh, totally fake. But I guess that's entertaining the folks in China. Let's go see this fool who's trying to fool us.
Yeah, we're not gonna fall for a banana in the tailpipe.
And when I'm not spending my money to see some daggone fake. Oh, animal. But now let's talk about from a fake animal to a person who they talk about transition. You see, all in that news with the kids transitioning, all they're being groomed, this, that, and the third, right? Let's talk about this is a real transition right here. So you want to check this out, folks. So this here, yeah, that right there, that's person. That the dog. I mean, that's a person. This fella his name is Toko, Japanese man, spent 2 million yen, which is equivalent to $14,000. He had a company, Zeppet, Zeppet, and he had them build him a costume so that he could become a collie. The company took 40 days to design and manufacture the outfit, and this is a picture of Toko, who last month went out into public for the first time. And here's some video. What's that, girl? Come on, let's play the worst game of catch ever. We gotta do it in this enclosed space because it takes us so damn long to get the daggone ball. What's that, girl? Oh, the ball done rolled out in the hallway. She's exhausted. Oh, look at this. There she goes. Oh, look at it. Oh, okay. Yeah, look at that. You see the forearms. Yeah, there you go. Now you see how it works. Look at this. With that said, hold on, let me bring up I can't get to the live chat. Look at this. Oh man, you could have just gave me the 14 G's, man. I'd have treated you like a dog. We could just put a bowl out for you and everything. Shoot. Oh my goodness. With that, we're gonna move on to our last story. This is a little express episode. Hopefully, listen. They're working on what's called, can you believe it, electrified concrete. Well, they've been working on it for years, but how it would work is now the concrete, they're trying to build these devices. These are 2 panels. Now, they are 2 panels. One is negatively charged with electrolytes, the other one is positively charged. Now, right now, each panel, and then there's a little membrane that goes in between those 2 the panels that's pictured right there. Now, so far, these devices can only light up LED light bulbs, but they're already trying to upscale. They're working on that right now. Said a mechanical engineer who at the Imperial College of London, who's not involved with the project, he said that it would be very attractive technology if they could achieve that at a larger scale. So if they could actually make it so that concrete was electrified, you could turn roadways or houses, structures, into power sources that could, save on dams, etc. No more of that. Well, be a big plus for the environment. Now, the problem is that the primary ingredient in concrete is a poor electrical conductor. And so in recent years, they've made structural supercapacitors, but those panels with the membranes, by spiking cement with highly conductive form of carbon. Highly conductive forms of carbon, such as, say, graphite or nanotubes. Now, these attempts have performed well, but here we go. The dollars, always the dollars. Those ingredients are expensive and hard to produce in massive volumes used in the cement industry. And that comes from Franz Josef Bohm. He's a civil engineer at MIT. So hopefully one day you will be looking at, this could be your roadmap, a satellite view of a roadmap. Although, well, no, I guess you wouldn't have to worry about electrocution because you got the sneakers and what have you. Oh no. Somehow I could see some people hurting themselves somehow. Now we think about it. But with that, don't forget, folks, this Saturday, 11 o'clock from Jet Field. If you're either attending in person, pay a little $5 to get in and cheer the Clippers on and be wowed by the Chester Clipper cheerleaders, or you can go to cmpradio.net and check out the game there. And the call will be provided by these golden pipes right here, as well as Pete will be backing us up, giving the prodigious engineering that always keeps the station moving along. Also, later on today, don't forget the Sisters on Air podcast and the Cut Up podcast with Curtis and his crew. And also, you can go to the CMP.net YouTube or Facebook page and check out other content there, such as Finding Humility Through Change with Umar Waqi, and other shows. And so with that, that's all I got for you today, folks. But next week, we're going to recap Clippers action. And we're going to have a more full show because I got to clean out the junk drawer. So we got a lot of funny stuff coming at you next week. Also, P's Weekly Hero. And I'm hoping to have a guest, former Temple quarterback Philip Lang. Very interesting story. So looking forward to doing that next week, and I will have his microphone on. So shut up, P. Yeah, I know. All right. So there we go. With that said, though, folks, don't forget. I'm going to start a Patreon account one of these days, so I can have some contributors help. I need $1. $1 is what I need. Keep the show up and running. So, and I will literally just take $1. Shoot, the minimum is $1. So with that said, folks, thanks for spending a little time with us here. And don't forget, tune in later for Sisters on Air and the Cut Up podcast. And we'll see you Saturday, and we'll see you next Sunday. You're on the D Train with Darren DeVoue on cmpradio.net.